What are the best websites and how are they made? Let's break it down. Every site in this video is top tier. I live and breathe web design, posting about it, working with clients, and running my studio Shovel. In just 7 months, we've worked with small startups to international brands. I handle all design. I bring in developers for coding. Some projects I'm technically a freelancer, others I'm a studio. It depends. I use Arena and other curators to save and study the best web design. I'll show you my top picks and why they work. E-commerce, agency, restaurants, you name it, I'm breaking it down. Let's start with my favorite website of all time, Acne Studios. Fun fact, Acne started as Associated Computer Nerd Enterprises before changing to Ambition to create novel expressions. The first thing you notice, the massive logo that follows you down the page. It's a simple sticky effect stopping when the container ends. Behind the logo, no individual products, just categories until you hit the bottom. Most brands showcase a new release with banner photography or videos. Acne, they use tiny text for headlines. Their design balances micro text with large editorial content. This will be repeating throughout the website. Instead of plain white backgrounds, their product shots use models with gradient backdrops, adding some personality and uniqueness. At $350 per t-shirt, Acne is focusing on visuals, not price. Another reason for a category focus, too many products. A good rule is that if you have 20 plus items, don't list them all on the homepage. They follow strict design rules. Spacing, colors, and text sizes are all preset. I helped build a design system like this in my corporate role. It takes hundreds of hours in multiple teams. Their font, Helvetica Now, 12 pixel base size. The WCAG standard is 16, but Acne breaks accessibility rules for a clean aesthetic. This is just more emphasis on the micro scale of their design system. Easter eggs are often forgot about, but present here. This is communicated in niche areas with ASCII art. Empty carts spell out the word. Developer consoles prompt the logo. Newsletters show a little face on success. And there's probably more than that. The 404 page is built to push product suggestions, making the most out of every page visit. Speaking of products, they have my favorite PDPs of all time. Their variant selectors use a grid layout with a bold blue call to action. No text walls here. Everything is in drop downs or bullet points. So Acne revolutionized size selection with 3 layers here. Variant pickers let you compare sizes and add to cart. Dynamic visuals adjust as you change sizes. Size tables that adapt for global customers. Most brands just use a static table. Acne turns size guides into conversion points. My studio built a similar size guide for a luxury brand launching this year. It was tough, but we made it work on Shopify, which actually Acne's not even using. I believe they run on Salesforce Commerce Cloud, very common for more luxury European brands. This might be the first Shopify brand with Acne-styled size guides. This site is flawless, a perfect mix of style, usability, and storytelling. Whoever designed A24 nailed it. Say what you want, call me a fanboy, but it's clear they've had a huge impact on the movie industry. Their design stands apart from competitors because they clearly invest into it. It connects movie nerds who love art and culture. This site was built by Grand Army, the same studio behind A24's branding and motion design. The main call to action, new and upcoming movies. That's what people want to see, so how do you present it well? Video backgrounds show quick previews. Simple, effective, and looks great with their bold typography. This makes me wonder about load speed, but the code seems to be optimized to keep things running smoothly. See how the video looks grainy? That's from the decompression, but it actually adds to the aesthetic a bit here. There's also a blur overlay that transitions from video to video. On desktop, they use a menu button, something you mostly see on mobile. This keeps the landing page clean and free of clutter. A24 clearly loves white space. You'll see it everywhere on this site. On mobile, the landing section becomes a slideshow that's a simple countdown when you swipe down. Since most traffic comes from phones, this just makes sense. They actually can't load videos as fast as a desktop can. A24's merch sales bring in a huge chunk of profits. Their products are always unique and made for hardcore fans. Again, the design for e-commerce is minimalist here. One image, one title, a small new tag. They immediately highlight a single featured product. Look at the shadow behind the images. It feels like the product is placed right on your screen. That's intentional. The photography is specific for the website. Some say this needs a standout color for sales. Others say it's perfect as is. For ready to ship items, they skip the drop down and use quantity buttons instead. From a UX standpoint, an open text box might be better, but this feels fun and unique to A24's store in my opinion. Maybe most customers buy in multiples, so this setup could be deliberate. The design clearly leans towards branding over sales. Huge display text, NB International Web, a clean sans serif. Micro scroll effects in the header, watch the card as you scroll. Sticky add to cart buttons, keeps the buy option in view. Extra photos placed in a more dynamic layout instead of the typical stack. If you love art and aesthetics, you'll probably love this website. If you're focused on business and conversions, you might hate this. My take, I think it expands the A24 world, making it more immersive and bringing in more money long term. Again, compare them to their competitors. It stands out, it's fun, it feels like A24. Some people think it's overhyped, and I get it, but this works. On to the next website. An olive oil brand has designers talking. The product itself is already so unique. Plastic bottles for olive oil, but their visuals and web design go beyond just standing out from competitors. This site is designed by Gander, developed by Baggy. Shout out to the fellow Milwaukee studio. Right from the start, there's a lot to take in, but let's talk about what stands out first. Buttons that feel physical. These aren't just buttons, they feel analog. Take the base element and style it with a lime green background and a serif font in all caps. Now use an after CSS Suedo class with micro gradients that form a checker pattern. When hovered, the button shifts into place with the after class. It's subtle, but it makes the interaction feel real. The typeface choice is a mix of an elegant serif and a monospace font. Usually text shadows aren't ideal. They can create contrast issues and make text harder to read in some situations. You could argue that here, but I think it works well. Pair it with a radial gradient and you get an emphasized heading that feels more premium. Sticky effects are simple but powerful for storytelling. Watch how this tiny drop of oil falls past the animated visuals comparing Graza to its competitors. Then it lands right into the logo with a smooth animation. The product detail pages, PDPs, are pretty advanced. Honestly, subscription e-commerce design could be a whole separate breakdown, but the one detail I have to call out, dotted borders. It's a rare CSS choice, probably not super popular, but here it fits. It blends into the playful branding without looking out of place. A more finer detail, the glog. Their blog isn't called a blog, it's called the glog. That's branding done right. Next. This site might get my video flagged, but we need to talk about it. Let's talk Cards Against Humanity. Designed in-house, developed by Gardner, New York City. Right when you load the page, it's just a game. If you've never played before, this one interaction lets you figure it out fast. I'm not even gonna try breaking down the JavaScript. There are a million ways to code this. Just know JavaScript and CSS are doing the heavy lifting. And if a CMS is swapping out card content, yeah, good luck figuring it out. I'm not sure. The shop menu is a simple drop down. It's split into 3 options with images. What I love the most, the copywriting. Buy stuff instead of shop all. They roast themselves. If you get their humor, the site will stick with you. Now these product cards, fully customizable through a CMS, hover effects, image swaps, positioning. The developer, Gardner NYC, went crazy. This is the level of flexibility big brands expect. That's a quick one, back to a clothing brand. Is it Maison Margiela or Maison Margiela? The fancy one, right? This site took a huge team of high-profile names and agencies. It's a Phil Knight project, so you know every detail is on purpose. The design system, built by International Magic, you can see their touch in the rounded elements and precise spacing. Development, handled by Magic as a Service. They actually built their UI kit with Margiela. Micro animations, they bring the site to life. See how the logo shifts as you scroll? That's clipping, hiding overflow inside its parent. Now for the photography. Every shot is on abstract backgrounds. It feels utopian, fitting for the site's futuristic design. And its rough edged product categories, they look hand-shaped like clay. This is done with layer masking. This UI style is usually for tech startups, but mixing it in with fashion, I love it. Margiela has always embraced new tech, Web3, AI, all of it. Speaking of AI, their shop assistant, kinda slow. My honest point of view as a customer, needs some work, but it's interesting that it's there. One last note, they use bare product shots, no models. Some brands show models to sell a look. Bare products keep things neutral, no distractions. It fits the whole utopian vibe. They also have these intentional props in them as well. I think that's pretty interesting. The site is built different. This cafe website was made by After Hours. A landing page that grabs attention and is fully branded. Did you see this little graphic spinning? It stays at the center of the screen and rotates non-stop, a simple CSS trick. Pro tip, if an animation has an infinite state or goes from one state to another, CSS probably has you covered. JavaScript is needed when you have multiple states. After Hours kills it with hand-drawn animations. This instantly levels up the design. Every section has movement. It feels alive instead of static. These dividers are resetting their position and doubling the amount of children elements to look endless. Simple CSS and JavaScript make this work unless you add interaction, then it gets tricky. Now the color choice, they went with a neutral white and black. This softens contrast and makes small text easier to read. Most sites struggle with not enough contrast. This one balances having too much. Check out the sticky column lines. They don't line up perfectly, which might bug some designers. The link varies in size based on letters, and a fixed width might work better. Speaking of accessibility, bad design can lead to lawsuits. E-commerce and hospitality sites get hit the most since they have more functions that are harder to make compliant. For example, this brand is in hospitality. Let's talk about the menu. It's a PDF. Screen readers struggle with PDFs if they work at all. So technically scammers can order a chicken sandwich here, and that's an argument for a lawsuit. Fixing this is easy though. Just list the menu items in HTML. Next website. Clients keep asking me to copy this website. Little Tokyo Table Tennis was built by Studio Auto. Border grids, layouts, and gradients make it feel experimental. This is a great example of showing every product on the homepage. Not ideal for all brands, but works well for a smaller streetwear brand that drops new releases often. Element states matter. When a product is sold out, what happens? How does it look? Little Tokyo uses a green overlay and changes the text to sold out in all caps. The header is sticky. Since text floats over different elements, it needs to be readable. Instead of a solid background, they use a linear gradient. Product pages scroll sideways, turning the whole page to an image slider. But vertical scrolling controls this too, so you won't miss it. Small text and buttons aren't the best for accessibility, but they likely chose this to highlight photography. They clearly put effort into their product shots. There's backgrounds with shadows and a mix-in of model photos too. Fun fact, my content actually inspired the size guide for Little Tokyo. Shout out Frankie at Auto. The size guide is in a table format with inches to centimeters conversion. A tiny detail I love is the price inside the add to cart button. This saves space on product pages, especially on mobile. On Shopify, this takes extra effort since each variant has its own price. We ran into this issue while building a client site inspired by Little Tokyo. Next website. Is this an O or a Q in OnRunning's logo? It's an O with a small tail, so it can add some movement. They're a Swiss company, so of course their typeface is custom to match Swiss design. An S-tier website does two things. Performs well, looks unique. OnRunning has both of those, and from my research, the design team is all in-house. The header is great for a few reasons. The half layout saves space. Links are arranged well, shot by gender, age, or activity. A top to bottom load effect makes it feel smooth. A small but new detail I haven't seen. Your cursor changes to a close icon when hovering outside of the menu. Clicking outside closes the dropdown. That's standard behavior, but the visual cue makes it clearer. Now, good photography can make or break a website. OnRunning doesn't miss. They mix editorial shots and sometimes play videos too. What would the site be without good PDPs? Their shoes are unisex and you can quickly toggle between men's and women's versions. I imagine that's a strong conversion point because people click based on images typically, which you can't tell the gender of the shoe based on the image, right? Look at this detail. Some elements have semi-rounded borders while others have fully rounded. This keeps the design consistent and polished, and there's likely a design system in place here. Now, if a website has side scrolling, it needs buttons to control it. More brands need to do this. This is for accessibility. Product descriptors are clear. They mix icons and simple text, making it easier to decide if the product fits your needs. Since On's shoes are a little pricey, they tell a story to justify it. Look at this section, how the shoe fits, eco-friendly materials, how it feels to run in them. Most brands miss this step, probably due to technicality. Each product needs dynamic content, not hard to build, but overwhelming without the right skills. Last call out, I see a trend emerging, but no one's talking about it. Bottom sticky headers on mobile. They make sense, your thumbs naturally rest there. They also reduce clutter on top. This is common in mobile apps, but for some reason it hasn't fully hit mobile web design just yet. I see this being a pattern blowing up in the next few years. And it'll be something I push on my new builds as well. Almost there. This build pulled me into luxury web design. ROA hiking, designed and built by Nod Nod. No call to action in the hero, just a banner image leading to a collection. Navigation is clean. It blends text and images pretty well. The font, Ricion's Light, I think is how you say it. Free, but only one weight. I actually just used this on a startup landing page. Images in the menu is a tricky concept. They grab attention faster than the text. ROA mixes products and collections together too. Some might love it, others might hate it. UX testing is definitely needed to see how it performs, but I think it looks visually appealing. Now, product pages need a fast, quick breakdown. They're a little complex. You'll notice the difference effect in the logo and the links in the header. Product information is in tabs, not drop-downs. Color options use product images, not just swatches. Size options are in a 7-column grid. The add to cart button is huge. Buttons lack color contrast, but I know that was a client request for the palette. Visually, looks great. Conversion-wise, I'm curious. Last website coming up, a New York City web dev. Website portfolios should be simple but have a touch of experimental design. Gardner nailed this. You might remember them from the Cards Against Humanity build. Their work plays in a video reel. I might steal this idea when I land more and bigger clients. Notice the controls, those are accessible and custom. The soundtrack is ambient. I think that fits all the projects pretty neutrally. You can even toss the video around. Then at some point it sticks as you scroll down. One issue I want to call out here, text contrast. A bit surprising since they do ADA audits. I just want to make that little call out and keep Ian sharp. I'm saying his name like I know him. I don't actually know him, but the main menu has a sub-navigation for each section. It's always visible, and this is where the experimental design kicks in for me. Most sites forget about this. Text highlight color. Here it's black. Small detail, but it shows attention to detail, which I think most developers probably lack in my opinion. Every link opens in a new tab. This is a one-page landing site. Hover effects, smooth text color transitions. The process section makes them look professional. Brands might not care at first, but it builds trust. I assume they follow it strictly. It's also very useful for creative businesses, who's another part of their audience. I've actually used this for my own work. Posting pricing is tricky. If you're getting too many low budget leads, it helps filter them out. But Gardner's whole thing is that they don't gatekeep. It's really a goldmine for new businesses. Again, I reference their pricing for work I do as well. Now, my favorite part, the footer. This is where you can be a little more creative. It takes up the whole screen, but this link, it credits everyone who contributed to the site. I'm not scrolling, it auto plays like movie credits. Reminds me of an early client. He's a film director. We used this exact idea for his portfolio. This channel is really just going to be a case study for me building a studio that makes the best in class websites. I don't gatekeep. I'll show everything, how I get clients, manage projects, and grow this. Watch my first video where I break down how I land clients and manage projects.